Life is unpredictable, and people will wrong us. They will betray, insult, and hurt us. But the Stoics teach us that revenge is not about harming others, it is about mastering ourselves. True power lies in rising above, not sinking to their level. So, how do we respond to those who hurt us? Here are 6 Stoic principles to guide you. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, taught that it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. This principle is at the heart of Stoicism and serves as a powerful reminder that our true power lies not in controlling external events or the actions of others, but in mastering our own responses. When people hurt us, whether through betrayal, insult, or mistreatment, the natural instinct is to react emotionally, to lash out, to seek revenge. But the Stoic path teaches us that this reaction only gives away our power. Instead, we must learn to control our response, to rise above the situation, and to act with wisdom rather than impulse. Pain and injustice are inevitable parts of life. People will wrong us, sometimes intentionally, sometimes out of ignorance or their own suffering. When we respond with anger, we only multiply that suffering, both for ourselves and others. Anger clouds our judgment, makes us act irrationally, and often leads to regret. More importantly, it places control of our emotions in the hands of those who hurt us. If another person's words or actions can disrupt our inner peace, then we have surrendered our power to them. But if we remain unshaken, if we refuse to let them disturb our tranquility, then we show true strength. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, wrote in Meditations, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This means that while we cannot always prevent people from hurting us, we can choose how we interpret and respond to that pain. We can let it consume us, or we can see it as an opportunity to practice patience, resilience, and self-discipline. Imagine a situation where someone insults you. If you react with rage, shouting back, or even seeking revenge, you are allowing that person to dictate your behavior. They have provoked you, and you have taken the bait. But what if instead you remained calm? What if you simply acknowledged the insult, understood that it was a reflection of their character rather than yours, and moved on without letting it disturb your peace? In that moment you have won. You have denied them the power to control you. This principle applies not only to insults, but to all forms of harm. If a friend betrays you, you can choose to be consumed by anger and bitterness, or you can accept that people are flawed, that suffering is part of life, and that your energy is better spent on growth rather than resentment. If a stranger wrongs you, you can let it ruin your day, or you can recognize that their actions are beyond your control and refuse to let them steal your happiness. Seneca, another great Stoic, advised, "A man is as miserable as he thinks himself." This means that suffering is often a matter of perspective. The same event that destroys one person can be a source of strength for another. If we view hardships as lessons rather than injustices, if we see mistreatment as a chance to develop patience and fortitude rather than a reason for revenge, then we transform pain into power. Controlling our response does not mean suppressing our emotions or allowing others to walk over us. It means recognizing that emotions are temporary, that reacting in anger rarely leads to anything positive, and that true power lies in self-mastery. It means choosing logic over impulse, wisdom over resentment. At its core, the best way to deal with those who hurt us is not to give them control over our emotions. Instead of wasting time plotting revenge or drowning in bitterness, we should focus on strengthening ourselves. We should aim to be so composed, so mentally strong, that no insult, betrayal, or act of harm can shake our inner peace. That is real victory. That is the Stoic way. One of the most profound teachings of Stoicism is the idea that we should focus on mastering ourselves rather than trying to control others. This principle, echoed by philosophers like Epictetus, Seneca, and Marcus Aurelius, reminds us that true power does not come from manipulating people or circumstances, but from having complete dominion over our own thoughts, emotions, and actions. It is natural to feel frustrated when others act in ways that hurt or disappoint us. We may wish to change them, to make them see reason, to force them to act differently, or to make them regret their behavior. But this is an illusion of control. No matter how much effort we put into trying to change someone else, the outcome is never truly in our hands. People will act according to their own nature, their own beliefs, and their own level of understanding. We can offer guidance, but we cannot force transformation. The only person we have absolute control over is ourselves. Epictetus put it clearly when he said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." This means that self-mastery requires letting go of the need for approval, the need to control others, and the need for external validation. Instead of worrying about how people perceive us or whether they treat us fairly, we should focus on our own growth, our character, our discipline, and our inner peace. Consider a situation where someone wrongs you. Maybe they betray your trust, spread falsehoods about you, or act selfishly. You may feel the urge to confront them, to demand an apology, or to force them to acknowledge their wrongdoing. But what if they never do? What if they never change? If your happiness depends on their actions, you will remain in a constant state of frustration and disappointment. However, if you shift your focus inward, if you concentrate on how you can respond with dignity, how you can maintain your integrity, and how you can move forward without bitterness, then you reclaim your power. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This means that instead of wasting energy trying to control what others do, we should put that energy into mastering our own reactions. If someone insults you, you do not have to be offended. If someone tries to hurt you, you do not have to be harmed. Your inner state is yours to govern. Self-mastery is a lifelong practice. It requires discipline, patience, and the humility to accept that we cannot control everything. But once we embrace this mindset, we find a deep sense of freedom. No longer are we at the mercy of other people's actions or words. No longer do we need to seek revenge or validation. Instead, we stand firm in our own strength, guided by wisdom and reason. This is the path of the Stoic. One of the most powerful lessons in Stoicism is learning to be indifferent to insults. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed. Don't feel harmed, and you haven't been." This simple yet profound idea teaches us that insults only have power if we allow them to affect us. When someone tries to offend us, it is not their words or actions that cause harm, it is our interpretation of them. Insults are a test of our inner strength. If we react with anger, defensiveness, or a desire for revenge, we are giving the person exactly what they wanted, control over our emotions. But if we remain calm, unaffected, and even amused, we take away their power. The Stoic approach is not to suppress feelings of anger, but to train ourselves to see insults as meaningless. They are merely sounds in the air, words that reflect more about the speaker than about us. Epictetus reminds us, when someone criticizes you, remember that they are not judging you, but their own perception of you. This means that an insult is never really about us, it is about the person speaking it. Their words are shaped by their own emotions, insecurities, and misunderstandings. If we take offense, we are agreeing with their perception. But if we recognize that their words do not define us, we can move on without letting them disturb our peace. Consider the example of Socrates, the great philosopher who practiced an early form of Stoicism. When insulted, he did not argue or retaliate. Instead, he would ask, "Am I truly what they say I am?" If the insult was true, then there was no reason to be upset. He should simply improve himself. If the insult was false, then there was still no reason to be upset, because it did not describe him. This level of detachment is the ultimate goal of Stoicism, to be so secure in our own character that no insult can shake us. Indifference to insults does not mean ignoring everything people say. If criticism is constructive, we should learn from it. But if it is meant to hurt us, the best response is no response at all. True strength is found in not allowing others to dictate our emotions. When we master this, we become untouchable. Not because we avoid insults, but because they no longer matter. The best revenge is not anger, retaliation, or proving someone wrong. It is living well. In Stoicism, the idea of revenge is not about harming others, but about rising above their actions and becoming the best version of ourselves. When someone hurts us, betrays us, or underestimates us, the most powerful response is to succeed, to find peace, and to cultivate a life so fulfilling that their negativity becomes irrelevant. Seneca wisely stated, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." This means that instead of lowering ourselves to the level of those who wrong us, we should take a higher path. If someone acts dishonorably, we should act with integrity. If they insult us, we should remain composed. If they wish for our failure, we should thrive. By doing this, we deny them the satisfaction of seeing us suffer. More importantly, we reclaim control over our own destiny. Many people waste years consumed by bitterness, plotting ways to get back at those who hurt them. But this only prolongs suffering. Revenge, in the traditional sense, keeps us tied to the very people we wish to escape. It keeps their actions alive in our minds and prevents us from moving forward. The true Stoic response is to let go, focus inward, and build a life so strong that past wounds lose their power over us. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best way to avenge yourself is not to become like your enemy." This means that if we respond with hatred, we are allowing the actions of others to shape us negatively. But if we remain committed to our values, if we continue to pursue wisdom, excellence, and peace, we not only win, we transcend. Living well as revenge is not about proving something to others. It is about proving something to ourselves, that we are stronger than our pain, that we are greater than our obstacles, and that our happiness is not dependent on the actions of others. When we choose growth over grudges, success over resentment, and inner peace over conflict, we achieve the ultimate victory. The best revenge is no revenge at all, just a life lived with purpose, fulfillment, and strength. When we master this, we realize that those who once sought to harm us no longer have any power. We have moved beyond them, and in doing so, we have truly won. When people hurt us, our natural instinct is often to respond with anger, resentment, or even a desire for revenge. But Stoicism teaches a different, more powerful approach, to respond with compassion rather than hatred. Seneca wisely said, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." This means that, instead of mirroring the cruelty or wrongdoing of others, we should choose to rise above it. Hatred only breeds more hatred, while compassion allows us to break free from the cycle of negativity. To understand why compassion is more powerful than hatred, we must first recognize that people often act out of their own pain, ignorance, or weakness. A person who insults, deceives, or harms others is not acting from a place of wisdom or strength. They are acting from a place of suffering. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Whenever you are about to find fault with someone, ask yourself the following question: what fault of mine most resembles the one I am about to criticize?" This reminds us that we too are imperfect. We have made mistakes, acted out of emotion, and hurt others, sometimes without realizing it. If we expect understanding for our own flaws, we must also extend it to others. Compassion does not mean allowing others to mistreat us. It does not mean ignoring injustice or failing to defend ourselves when necessary. Rather, it means choosing not to let anger control us. If someone wrongs us, we can set boundaries, walk away, or seek justice. But we can do so with clarity and dignity, not with hatred consuming our hearts. The moment we allow ourselves to be ruled by hatred, we give power to those who hurt us. We let them shape our emotions and dictate our state of mind. True strength lies in remaining unaffected, in responding with wisdom rather than impulse. Epictetus taught that people are not disturbed by things, but by the view they take of them. If we see someone's harmful actions as a personal attack, we will feel anger. But if we see them as a product of their own flaws or suffering, we can respond with understanding. A person who insults us may be insecure. A person who betrays us may be lost. This does not excuse their actions, but it allows us to move forward without hatred poisoning our own hearts. By choosing compassion, we free ourselves. Hatred keeps us tied to the past, dwelling on the wrongs done to us. Compassion, however, allows us to let go, to find peace, and to focus on what truly matters: our own growth, our own wisdom, and our own happiness. When we refuse to hate, we refuse to be controlled by those who wrong us. We become stronger, not weaker. We become free. The greatest victory is not in hurting those who hurt us, but in refusing to let them change who we are. When we master this, we achieve true power. Not over others, but over ourselves. Time is the most valuable resource we have, yet many people waste it on hatred, resentment, and thoughts of revenge. Stoicism teaches that life is short, and every moment spent in anger is a moment lost forever. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, wrote, "It is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live." This means that instead of allowing hatred to consume us, we should focus on living well, making the most of the time we have. Hatred is a heavy burden. It does not harm the person we resent as much as it harms us. When we dwell on anger, replaying past wrongs in our minds, we are the ones who suffer. The person who hurt us may not even be thinking about us, yet we allow them to take up space in our thoughts, robbing us of our peace and happiness. This is why the Stoics advise us to let go of hatred, not for the sake of those who wronged us, but for our own well-being. Seneca, another great Stoic thinker, wrote, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." This is especially true when we hold on to resentment. When we constantly think about the people who have wronged us, we relive the pain over and over again. The initial harm they caused was a single event, but by dwelling on it, we make it an ongoing source of suffering. Letting go does not mean forgetting or allowing injustice. It means choosing not to let the past control us. Time is fleeting, and no one knows how much of it they have left. The energy we spend hating others could be used to build something meaningful, to strengthen our character, to find joy in the present moment. Imagine reaching the end of your life and realizing that so much of it was wasted on bitterness. Would any of it have been worth it? The best use of our time is to focus on what we can control, our own actions, our own growth, and our own happiness. Hatred is also a distraction. It keeps us looking backward instead of forward. When we fixate on those who have hurt us, we are not improving ourselves, pursuing our goals, or enjoying life. Instead, we are stuck in a loop of negativity that prevents us from reaching our full potential. The Stoics remind us that we cannot change the past, but we can shape the present and the future. By choosing to let go of resentment, we free ourselves to live fully. Forgiveness is not about excusing bad behavior. It is about reclaiming our own time and energy. Holding on to hatred only gives more power to those who wronged us, but when we release it, we take back control. We stop allowing them to influence our emotions, and we move forward with clarity and strength. Marcus Aurelius advised, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." In other words, instead of wasting time on negativity, we should focus on becoming the best version of ourselves. Ultimately, hatred serves no purpose. It does not undo the past, it does not bring justice, and it does not make us stronger. What makes us strong is mastering ourselves, choosing wisdom over anger, peace over resentment, and action over dwelling on old wounds. Time is too precious to waste on anything that does not serve our growth. The best way to honor our time is to live with purpose, free from the chains of hatred, and focused on what truly matters.